Okay, now we got sound. All right. Okay. So we had a little mishap there. We weren't getting any sound. No one can hear, but now we got sound. So it just had to sign out and sign back in. Well, welcome. Today is March the 16th, 2023. March 16th, 2023. Today is my 71st birthday. So I've come on here to teach today, and it's like my little present back to the world. And today's topic is you can sing like Bobby Womack. Okay, let me get this right. You can sing like R and B singer Bobby Womack. When your gratitude, gotta spell words here. Gratitude is your attitude. All right, now I think we got everything right. So since we're starting back over and letting this make some sense, one of the things is let's define first, as this title says, who is Bobby Womack? Why did I choose him? Well, Bobby Womack, he was a well-known R&B singer, very jovial kind of singer. He was like one of those romance love singers back in the late 60s and early 70s. Maybe going back as far as the late 50s. So he's when R&B was like cooking, and getting started, and people loved dancing to it and all. And I had the fortunate pleasure of meeting a relative of his. His father was Donald Womack, but I didn't know Donald Womack. He was a minister. I knew Donald's sons. I had the privilege of meeting Donald's sons, and one of them is Shamar Womack Eel, that took over his father Donald's church. And his father made him a bishop first, then he took over the church. And that's how I kind of know of the family. And those family of Womacks, they can sing. WMACK. Every last one of those relatives have vocal cords, man, who can sing. But I chose Bobby Womack as this famous R&B singer because in 1971 he wrote a tune. It was a romantic love tune, and it's called "That's the Way I Feel About You." So if you ever hear it, it's an R&B tune. He's in love with this woman, and he's singing his heart, and he's telling her that's the way he feels about her, like he can't stop. So I paired that song just by title alone to connect you with the two words gratitude and attitude. So, what is gratitude? Gratitude is when, there we go. Gratitude is when we have appreciation for someone or something or some event or situation in our lives. We have this gratitude energy upon us because this thing that we're looking at, this element that we are part of, allows us to also walk in life with humility, being humble. And we also start to see ourselves as a person. Yes, yeah, I had to sign something with YouTube, but I had to really recognize that gratitude has a lot to do with how we see ourselves in the world, how we are treating others in the world around us, how we are being blessed to have life. So we become very appreciative of the type of people that we have around ourselves. So here's some of the element that you couldn't hear. And the element that you couldn't hear was I was explaining how I remember growing up in households. I had a mother and father and an older sibling, but some of my friends in the neighborhood, they had a mother, a father. They came from fairly large families, so maybe they had three or four siblings. But they also had a grandparent, either from the mother's side or the father's side, living with them. That's back in the days, 40s and the 50s, where the parents could be off to work, but grandma or granddad's in the house. So therefore, when that latchkey kid wasn't a latchkey kid anymore, didn't have to let themselves out of the house anymore, they were going to answer to grandma and granddad who were in that house. So their lives, their earlier lives were influenced by that grandparent. They learned how to be appreciative. They learned how to have compassion. They learned how to have respect. They learned how to have integrity, honesty, how to be an individual inside a family unit and be seen. But I remember growing up, you said you couldn't talk. You just could be seen. Why? Because grown folks talk. Well, it wasn't always that rigid in my household because at least my parents allowed me to hear some conversation. But I say this as an example because many times we are striving to do better in our lives. And often we have to go moment to moment, day by day, minute to minute to kind of see how our life is going to unfold. And what are we doing in being responsible for how the day is going, or at least our part in the game of life? So often we may not actually pay attention that we are developing this skill on the inside. We've already had gratitude. We already have compassion. We already have understanding. We just through life have greater understanding, more compassion. We learn how to be loyal to friends, but we learn how to be loyal to family. And if you had a good family unit, a good rapport between mom, dad, siblings, grandparents, aunts and uncles, whoever else that was living in that house, if you had a good, strong community in that house, it stands the chance that when you left to go to school, that you could take all of those rules and regulations that you learned in the house and apply them what at school. Then you got to high school, you had more peer pressure in high school. Then hopefully you graduated and you got a chance to go to whether it's a 2 year college or a 4 year college or a big university. But whatever you learned underneath that roof put you on the right track. And with all of that, gratitude was involved. You were grateful that you could have that kind of interaction beyond your parents and your siblings and your neighborhood friends and your school chums. Everything became different the older you got. You learned how to make your own decisions. Some decisions were good, some decisions weren't. But life became your teacher. Hopefully, you found your way, where you found, as people say, my tribe or your soul pod. People who act and think like you, people who appreciate life like you do. Those were always a good marker. You can go, I could rest assured that my son and daughter, I could let them walk to the store, corner store, and get this, and this. They won't fall for anything and they'll be right back. Where I mean, we lived in almost not quite the middle of the block, but we lived closer to another end. But my parents can say they could time it. They could see me walk down the longer end, get all the way down and turn the corner. They knew what was around the corner. I had to pass by a little beer grove and I had to trickle across the street to this little corner store and get whatever. And she gave me a little candy. So I get my banana candies or strawberry candies. But I came back with some food. That was just enough to get us through. And then she do the big shopping later. But I give these examples because we're doing the same thing our parents did. We got to go feed ourselves, clothe ourselves, put shelter over our heads, do the same exact thing. Now we're doing it for ourselves all of these years. But while we were doing these things, and while we're still doing them today, we are developing in the consciousness of living in the consciousness of gratitude. We could write down on a sheet of paper what we are grateful for beyond the basic necessities. What are we grateful for? But then we go into another side of it, and it's the stance we take from that. Because the gratitude gives the foundation. Your kindness is a part of the steps of your foundation. Compassion is there too. So it would be like my question, or you might turn around and ask your neighbor, what are you feeling about your life? So that's the other side. See, in Bobby Womack's hit tune, 1971, that's the way I feel about you. But you're going to ask yourself, how do I really feel? Do I feel that I am qualified for this place, this element, this job, this whatever? Am I the person who has enough integrity, enough compassion, enough loyalty, enough you name it, that I could work with a team and not by myself? Or if I have to work by myself, can I do it efficiently? You begin to ask yourself these questions. And depending on how your day went, and your week and your month went, will determine what kind of attitude that you have. See, you had to come to an understanding that you can have all the gratitude in the world, but if your attitude is not where it's supposed to be, if your attitude is not clear, what is your attitude? Your attitude is the stance you take, that you need to take in order to let this certain behavior based on gratitude, grace, understanding, compassion, unconditional love be built up and released. As long as you remain grateful and humble and kind and appreciative, then you are building the proper stance, positioning for yourself so that the stance holds firm like roots into the earth. The body is like the tree, that's you. And then the extensions, your head and your arms, those are the branches and the leaves, but your head is the consciousness of that tree. You've grown conscious that you are strong. So you work every day at being strong, but stronger than you were the day before. A strong mind today than you had before. A feeling in your heart today that you had maybe an inkling of yesterday. It's all about you progressing forward, moving forward in your life and not backwards. Because whenever we could leap forward, we leap higher. When we leap, you ever see those athletes at a track meet? They're going to run a 60-yard dash, a 100-yard dash, or a 100-meter dash. You see how high they jump? They've trained their physical body where they can leap up high in the air, their knees high, their feet high, and land on the ground and don't hurt themselves. Then they got to be tense just right focus on the race for themselves as if no one else existed. When they hear that gun, they can't react before, they can't anticipate. They got to let the gun sound and then they got to go. And hopefully they go the same time, a millionth of a second that they hear the gun sound, they're off. Now it's on them to run them 40 steps on a 100-yard dash or a 100-meter dash, 40 or 42 steps from start to the end. It is the same with us. After you gather all this energy about gratitude, now you're able to take the proper stance, the proper positioning for yourself, the proper angle on something, or step into the higher echelons of your own thoughts and begin to think as your higher self would think, not as your ego self is thinking. That's why we find ourselves doing what? Getting a little quieter as time goes. You might be all gun ho at the start of the week. By midweek, you're like, I got to shift gears. Either I got to do more or I got to slow down. Because when Friday rolls around the corner and I get paid, I got to do this. And when I do them four things, then I got two things left for me that got to get me through the next couple of weeks to the next paycheck. So you start thinking about a better way, a more efficient way, and at the same time, you become more what? Self-sufficient. Where you start building the energy, and as you build this energy up, this energy will sustain you because you can draw on it. You're no longer drawing on your personal energy, you've built up an energy field. And when you built up this new energy field, you just keep throwing some extras in it, stoking the flames. That's what you are striving to do. That's what you're learning to do. That's what you remember to do. Because you know there's a certain awareness about things. You have to pay attention to your environment. So when you're out and about, you know automatically you're going to hear some things that are going to trickle into you from your higher self. Your higher self may say, okay, you need to fast today. And you might say to your higher self, well, what about tomorrow? And your higher self will have answered, don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about 3 days from now. I need you to start fasting today. What am I going to fast on? Smoothies or juicing or straight raw fruit, bland food. And then the next day, you're going to cut every meal down in half. So you're going to get rid of, you either going to have breakfast or you're going to have dinner. Or you'll have lunch, but no breakfast, no dinner. But you're going to find what works for you. And once you find it, you're going to stick to the program. Because then you're going to get slimmer. You're going to get the strength back in your bones and your ligaments and in your muscles. And then you won't have tiredness. Your mind will be agile. So you begin to move forward with this newfound you, this newfound source of energy that you discovered that it's infinite. It didn't go anywhere. It's always been inside of you. And it's called gratitude. You realize you've always been appreciative of the kinds of people in your life, the types of places you go to, places you may dine and eat at, places you go get your hair done and get a haircut. You're going to go to all these places, but you notice you may go to the same place. Why? Because you feel a part of that place. When you go in there, people recognize you and you feel grateful. They are grateful too because you'll come to them giving them your business, your money to spruce yourself up. So you might want to think for a moment, where in your line of thought today, I want you to check in on yourself And I want you to check in deeply. Are you on the plateau where you can really see the light? Or that you're at the bottom of the hill where you don't see any light, but you know it's there? And in between those 2 points is the road. Is it smooth? Is it jagged? Or is it a little of both? Because now when you're walking up the hill, you got to have some grip on your feet so you don't slide. You're seeking a better way. That's what I'm saying. You're seeking a better way to carry your life through every moment of your life. Your life is your script. We don't remember everything that's in the script. We get an inkling of a few things that are in the script, but we don't know it until we get to that road, like the elders would say. You won't know what's there until you get to the end. You say, well, what happened to all that other stuff? Well, that was extraneous stuff. That's some stuff you didn't really need. This stuff at the end of the line, that's what you need. This stuff that doesn't look like this has been chewed up, but this is the stuff that you kind of need. And once you are aligned in that way to yourself, then you could do no harm. There are no setbacks. There only is set up. The late Reverend Ike used to say tricky phrases like that. There ain't no let downs, but there's a let up. Pressure's been released from you. There's no being set back. You can only move forward. You can only move forward because there's a goal for you to reach. And before you attain that goal, you set another goal behind that one. And before you reach that second one, you set a third one down. And you just keep going. And then you wake up one day and you realize it's all infinite. And if I have limited thinking, that limited thinking is an illusion all to itself because every place around me is bountiful. Every place around me expresses abundance, prosperity, better health, not just physical health, but mental and emotional health, spiritual wellness, and even more. So you learn to treat yourself with the utmost respect. That's what you come to do. And when you step into this reality that you are creating, you begin to realize that you are already a loved being. That's why the ancient ancestors, if they were here today, they would address you as beloved because you have already searched for love on the inside and have found it, and you have all the compassion in the world for yourself. You become this beloved master. And everyone that ever lived with you in this realm of consciousness, as well in another universe, in another location, they remember you. And then they ask or they say, you don't have to remember everything about us. Just 51% is all you need. You ain't looking for 50-50. You're looking for 51%. Because when you do that, everything else falls in place. You no longer have to push yourself to the limit of no rest, no sleep, no food, no water. You don't have to do that. Why? Because you have built this energy up like a reservoir and it has allowed you to move forward. So, you got a pencil and paper? Think about 5 things that you are grateful for. Then, what I want you to do is, I want you to strike an attitude about each one, a behavioral pattern or expression that you're going to utilize so that you can be seen in your world, let alone be seen in someone else's, but you shine bright in your world. And as you begin to do that, you can allow yourself to take steps, not baby steps, but leaps and bounds. Sort of like hop, step, and jump in the broad jump. They taken 3 steps, but they're 3 long steps before they hit that board and catapult themselves forward. Every time you look to do something, it's going to be a little different. Why? Because it has to be different so that you catapult yourself, or your higher self comes up out of you and pulls you in alignment. So, if gratitude is being thankful, being appreciative, being kinder, being more humble, and if attitude means you will create the foundation out of gratitude, and you will stand upon it and see a whole new outlook, because your attitude is your outlook, not looking within. Gratitude brings you on the inside to discover what's there, and then you turn it into a stance or a purpose or a position that you are now striving to be, to become, to express. Who knows? You might be a conflict negotiator. You might notice all your friends coming to you with arguments, and you're the one that settles it. Or you're the one that gets them to see who was wrong, who was right, and then they just blend together. So, what I want you to do, we got 2 minutes left. I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to go deep inside yourself. And I want you to find that state of gratitude where all you do is laugh. When you find it, I want you to embrace it with 100% of your well beingness. And I want you to remember that you're more than all right. I want you to remember that you're more than just somebody. You are a someone that came out of the divine expression, the divine emanation of the I am presence. And you just didn't pop down here at the world, you popped through the veils on either side of you. And you had a dream. And in that dream, you saw yourself recreating your path, recreating your destiny, because you simply can. And I want you to open your eyes and I want you to claim something here. I want you to claim that you are this I am presence that's infinite, that's dynamic, that's healthy, that carries with it the spirit of wellness and wholeness, that gives you greater understanding, more peace, more prosperity. And I want you to remember, always remember, that you are here to grow in awareness and remembrance. You are here to be a better version of yourself. You are here because one of the keys is I open myself to consciously connect, communicate, and be activated in the essence, the true essence of my higher self. So I hear like my higher self, speak like my higher self, clothe myself like my higher self, and hear and see like my higher self. And when you see inside yourself like that, You see old things flushed out and new things sprouting up. And that's what I want you to take with you today. That in every moment of your life, you are in control. You will decide if you want 10% gratitude or 1,000% gratitude. Will you take 50% of kindness or 5,000% of kindness? Will you not worry anymore, but will you focus on exactly what you want? But it ain't the worry part. It's all the positive stuff that you can see enter your life. And you can see, envision yourself doing them. I want to thank you for joining me when this second go around. We finally got the sound on here. Thank you for joining me today. It's Thursday, March the 16th, 2023. This is my way of celebrating my birthday with all of you and anybody replays this. If you're here in Albuquerque, Resident Essentials will be closed tomorrow, the 17th and the 18th, because a lot of the practitioners that are affiliated with it are heading out to Willow, Arizona, and they're going to do the very first psychic fair that Willow ever had. And they're going to do it this Saturday from 9 a.m., I believe, to 2 p.m. in the Chamber of Commerce building. I want you to know that I'm not going to be at Resident Essentials on Saturdays because I'm going to be taking a portion of each day starting today to enjoy my 71st go around the sun. I always like to say, I'm just not traveling around that little sun, but I'm involved with that serious blue flame, divine flame sun, solar energy. And that my remembrance kicks in. So, with that being said, if you need more information about Resident Essentials, go to www.resonant, Resonant, essentials, essentials.com and check on the list of practitioners. You'll see how to contact them, what they do. Check on our events page, our calendar. Check on to see what other classes and things are going on. I'll be back next Saturday, which is March the 25th, from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. and a very minimal fee for this class on the Creative Path Work Meditation Series. Well, my grace is your grace. Until next time, remember that divine grace is a blessing as we are alive and well in the age of remembrance. See you real soon. See you next week, hopefully, if I haven't tired myself out. Take care now.